Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And in this episode, we are going to be taking a look at primarily aircraft enhancements, but a couple of other neat tools and tips in there as well. Stick around. Make sure, if you guys can, that you join us at Flight Sim Expo 2023. That's right, Overkill Simulations is going to be present this year, guys, at the Lone Star Museum in Houston, Texas. If you guys are interested in joining us there, be sure to check down the description below. There is a coupon code that can save you guys a bit of money using my personal reference to get you there. Again, that'll save you a bit of cash in your Flight Sim Expo 2023 experience. This is going to be June 23rd through the 25th of 2023. Again, in Houston, Texas, at the Lone Star Flight Museum. I went a few years ago in Las Vegas, and they are an absolute great time. There's some very, very informative and educational seminars to help better your flight simming experience, as well as a ton of developers of both hardware and software that you guys actually get to try out, essentially a try before you buy experience, as well as talking with the developers themselves and finding out what the products are all about. So again, guys, it's going to be Flight Sim Expo 2023 in Houston, Texas. I hope to see you guys all there. Don't forget to use my coupon code that you can find down in the description below. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides as well as any future guides that come along down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below, and thank you to all of my current subscribers. Okay, guys, so we are going to jump right into it. I'm not going to do a whole lot of talk on now. For primarily, this video is going to be aircraft enhancements that are all free and still functional. And then there are a couple of bonus things in here as well, which we're going to start with Floyd's Epic Clouds. Now, Xenviro, by the way, guys, a real quick tip on Xenviro. I actually spoke to the developer. There is some correction I need to make. I was right. It is, in fact, a weather injector. It is not just applying MEDAR information. I have spoken to the developer themselves, and the developer is willing to come out and flat out state that it is, in fact, a weather injector. So I did want to make sure that everyone understood that that has been corrected and that was addressed. However, if you're looking for something that just makes the scenery a whole lot better and has some custom scenes, Floyd's Epic Clouds is a wonderful, wonderful enhancement to the simulator. Now, it does require the use of static weather, so you won't be able to use live weather with it. But if you're more interested in just having some really awesome sceneries and really cool things to look at, this is a very, very beautiful way to do it. He does full weather presets that can basically create any scenario that you're looking for with some absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous graphical work using the in-game textures. Again, these are just a bunch of weather presets that really do add a lot to the scene and really adds the ability to create some absolutely gorgeous, memorable shots, if you will, from Microsoft Flight Simulator. Again, this is Floyd's Epic Clouds. He's been developing this for quite a while. I've done a review on this a long time ago, but guys, just look at some of these shots that were created through his presets. He really, really does a good job, and you can tell he puts a lot of time and effort into this. So speaking of savoring those gorgeous moments, let's move on to the next one. One of the things that can really tank a scene or screenshot that I have seen in Microsoft Flight Simulator, unfortunately, is absolutely the trees. The trees in Microsoft Flight Simulator definitely are something that need to be addressed. This is a forest enhancement mod, which basically takes all the trees worldwide and scales them down a little bit. I'm sure many of you have noticed that many of the trees, let's go to this one first, as the trees in the sim are very, very large and very, very almost overpronounced. This is a very simple mod that simply takes them and scales them down a little bit to make them a bit more realistic and not quite so overpowering over especially the city scenery areas where you have large trees that are just piling over streets and buildings and going right through them and things like that. This sort of makes those scenes a bit more realistic. I added this for my simulator a while back, and it made things, especially flying around in Tucson, a bit more bearable, given the fact that, you know, we don't really have a whole lot of that overgrowth and those large lush trees that you would expect to see in many other green environments, given the fact that we're in the desert. So the trees don't quite hit the point that they do in some other locations. So it was definitely a welcomed addition. Now, there are certain spots where, unfortunately, the downscaling may actually impact the graphical realism of the environment, if you will, such as genuine jungle areas in places that truly do have very large and powerful trees. But I think it's still going to be enough where you get the good feeling that you're looking for without, again, having the trees being overpopulated and oversized for the environment. Finally, a recording app that I have sworn by since its inception is Dolly. Now, I have tried 3 different that I can think of recording softwares, actually 4 if you count the in-sim recording ability if you're using the developer mode. And the best way to record and save your flights and aircraft condition, I absolutely still believe hands down, is Dolly. And the beautiful part about Dolly is it is free. There's absolutely no charge to it, and it can do so much. You can create formation flights, as you guys can see right down here, with recordings of your flight. So you go up, you do a flight, you do your loops, you do your acrobatics, aerobatics, whichever one you want to roll with, and then you can replay it, add various formation aircraft, and fly along with them to create a very awesome air show, if you will. Like if you're trying to do something similar to the Thunderbirds or something of that nature, you have that ability. It's a very slick program. And the really awesome part that I truly enjoy about that is it saves all of the aircraft configuration, everything from the type of aircraft that is being used and then to the control surface's status, as well as power levers. So if you want to save, let's say you're struggling with a particular approach, or like one of my favorites, TFFJ at St. Bart's, if you're wanting to repeatedly practice the approach onto runway 10, you can set yourself up on your initial fix point, set the aircraft up in any condition that you want to start with each single time, hit your record button, play your way through, land it, etc. And then if you want to get up and do it again, it's simple. Stop, replay it, or reload it to that particular location. Boom. The aircraft bounces back to where you were, sets the condition back to how you wanted it to be at the beginning of the approach, and you're good to go. It is an extremely handy tool for practicing approaches and things like that. I absolutely love it. But it can do so much more. It does a wonderful job with recordings. If you're someone who likes to do cinematics, maybe you're someone who wants to replay that really cool airliner takeoff and you want to do a second shot from, just trying it out. You want to see what it's like from the passenger seat. You can recreate that flight and simply change the camera view, and the aircraft will do whatever it needs to do without you being in the cockpit. Or if you're just looking to share a video with a friend, again, very awesome way to do that. It's an extremely well done tool. The developer has been working on it almost nonstop since it started. You can see it was just recently updated once again, and here is where it all began. Sorry about that, I had to cough. Very good tool. If you guys are interested in recording any of your flights for any purpose, this is a wonderful add-on to use. Jumping over into the aircraft enhancements, one of the big aircraft that really needs someone to take it over and really do a lot. Now, I know we do have a steam gauge version of it, but the King Air 350. The King Air 350 Realism mod is an absolutely wonderfully well done enhancement to the aircraft, which makes the aircraft perform and fly more closer to real world pilots' operational standards. Mr. Gouge here has done a wonderful job with very many aircraft. If you guys were to simply just click here, you would see his full development list, and he's done a great job with a number of aircraft, everything from the Cessna 172 floats, the Baron G58, which we'll talk about in a minute, and many more. He's done a very good job about tweaking the aircraft to try to make them as close to realistic as possible within the limitations of what he has access to. So it's really done a great job and certainly improved the aircraft. Next one up is the Sky4Sim tablet built directly into the TBM 930. Now, there's a couple of different aircraft that have this ability as well. Again, select the developer's name and you'll have a list of those aircraft. This is a really slick tool if you are a user of Sky4Sim tablet now, or Sky4Sim, I should say. Now, I am a huge proponent of Sky4Sim. If you guys are interested in that, you guys can search my channel for Sky4Sim, and I've done more than one review on that particular application. It is very powerful and very handy, especially if you're a VR pilot. But whether you are flat screen or VR, it is definitely a wonderful tool to have. It can do so much, and it does it very, very seamlessly, even integrating directly with the G3000 and G5000 avionics suite. And don't correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the G1000 might have been finally added to it. But basically what it allows you to do is create your flight plans using a visual map and then imports it directly in, or go the other direction and import out of the avionics unit into the Skyforce Sim tab. So having this tablet built directly into the aircraft and right on the dash certainly creates a bit more realism, because you're not having to go through a third-party application and open up a 2D flat window that really intrudes on the overall visuals of the aircraft and your experience. But I can't express enough. If you're not a user of Skyforce Sim tablet, you have a lot of tools that are right at your fingertips by using this particular software. And I really enjoy the fact that they added this tablet in here. Again, very powerful tool, and yet now maintaining the visual realism by just having a tablet up on the dash. I think it was placed very, very well and very, very effectively for what it does. Another realism mod to one of my favorite aircraft, the Baron G58. The Baron G58 is an absolutely fun aircraft. I love twin engine prop. They're just fun. They're fast. They're just, I don't know. I don't know what it is about twin engine aircraft. Maybe you feel like you're better, stronger, bigger, etc. Simply because you have that second engine. With in many aircraft, the single engines are just as fast, depending on what you're talking about. But again, same developer here, guys, doing a wonderful job. I have flown with this one on the channel multiple times, and it absolutely made a huge difference in the performance of the aircraft and made it much more enjoyable to fly. About a year ago, I had tried to make a PDF tutorial guide using the Baron G58. Unfortunately, the problem was that the pilot's operational handbook and what the in-game stats were doing were completely different. Takeoff performance, weights, balance, things like that were way off in the sim compared to what the real-world guide was or handbook was telling me that they should be. So I abandoned that. Now, fortunately, this particular project has made that much, much closer to realistic standards, and that might be something that I consider redoing in the future. But at the current moment, we're working on the ATR guide. So follow on Patreon if you guys are interested in helping me support that project. But this is a wonderful, wonderful modification to a really cool aircraft. If you guys are interested in the Baron G58, make sure that you apply the realism mod first, because it definitely enhances things. Next up, we have two specific mods. Now, the reason why I'm breaking this down is you have the new light environment. Now, there are many, many aircraft that are listed in this particular package. I still stand firm that the new light mod is absolutely critical for night flying. It really changes the hue and overall brightness of the lights in its field of view for many of the aircraft, making them much more realistic and not quite so dull or just odd that some of the default lighting in the simulator does. And that's everything from your wing lights, as you can see here, to taxi lights, landing lights, you name it. Now, the bulk package here, like I said, has a ton of aircraft in it, absolutely a ton. Let's see if the changelog still shows them all listed. You guys can sort of get an idea here if you watch closely of how this is all done here. Look at the number of updates. You guys can get an idea. Tons of aircraft. But the reason why I also listed the single one here, which is for the PC6, is if you look down here, you guys can see there are multiple aircraft where it is or multiple packages where it's aircraft specific. So if there's an aircraft that you're looking for that isn't in the major package, make sure that you take a look at the developers page, which you can simply, again, come right up here, click on the name, and it will take you to the developers page where you guys can see an aircraft that perhaps you are hoping for that may not be in the main package. But the new light package definitely adds a ton of very welcomed lighting effects, especially for night flying. Well, friends, that's going to wrap up today's add-ons and updates for you guys. Please be sure to, guys, if you are interested in supporting the channel, help me out on Patreon. It definitely makes a big difference and makes a lot of the things that I do possible. We do have the ATR guide. It is about 30% complete. We still have a few more days of work to do on it before I'm willing to showcase it on the channel. As always, there will be a corresponding YouTube video going step by step through the guide. But we're doing the ATR next. Then also mid-month, the Cessna Citation Longitude guide will also be updated. That update will be complete. That turned out to be far more work than I thought it was. I have actually debated rewriting that guide from scratch because so much has changed with the AAU 1 and 2 updates. It's changed a lot for both for both the TBM 930 and the Longitude. So just be patient with me on that. There's pretty significant changes that I wasn't anticipating. But also, I really hope to see all of you guys in the coming month over at Flight Sim Expo 2023. If you guys are interested in saving a bit of cash, as we said in the beginning of the video, make sure you guys check that out down below, and you guys can save 10% by using my code. As always, guys, stay safe and healthy, and I will see you guys in the next one.